Yes, it's early. You caught me to come early, so good on you. I'm super excited to kind of talk a little bit about the mind. I really am happy to partner with Susan about the Design Your Life series, and I thought let's add the mind into that mix, because all of the things that you're going to be talking about for the rest of the week, which are going to be great. I assume there's going to be some great speakers. I know you talked about finances, like interior design, your body. The mind is an important aspect of that too. So I'm going to give my contribution to talk a little bit about that here today. And so when you think of the words, let's go back to the small ones that we remember, small little phrases, maybe when you were a kid. Stranger, danger, right? You think of stranger, danger, and you think, okay, that's not a full sentence. Those are two words. We paired them together. What did it mean? What came up for you? And I'm a very collaborative person, so if you want to speak up or shout out something, by all means, go for it. I'm about the vibes, I'm about the energy. So stranger, danger, what comes up, what thoughts come up when you
Caution.
Caution, yes, caution, right? And we think of that term, caution, as, okay, this phrase, right? The stranger danger, right? This phrase was a simple phrase to teach us when we were little to take caution. And why do we need caution as kids? What do we need caution about? What were our parents trying to help us to understand?
Keep us safe.
Keep us safe.
Safety.
That's right. To keep us safe. And we landed on the word I was trying to get to. Safe. So, really bite-sized, digestible, educational part about the brain, okay? When we're thinking about the brain, here's a very little squiggly brain. It's got all these different lobes, it's got all these different squiggles, but its main function is to keep us safe, okay? So when we think of how do I navigate when I'm stressful? How do I navigate when I experience some sort of trauma? How do I navigate when I'm experiencing grief or maybe a big transition? Maybe I moved all the way across the country and it's my first time, I don't know anybody, I don't know anything. Maybe I got divorced and I don't know who I am after 10, 15 years of being someone's spouse, someone's parent. Maybe someone that I love died and I don't know how to function without that person being there in my life, right? We have these moments of transition, these things that happen, these very real things as people living life that happen. And we feel like we're stuck sometimes. We're stuck, we're trying to figure out, I don't know how to handle this. Sometimes we're crying, sometimes we self-medicate, sometimes we're drinking, trying to take away the pain. Sometimes it's not drinking, sometimes it's other substances, drugs, and that matter. But we gotta come back to what is the brain's main thing. It wants to keep us safe. It wants to make sure we don't hurt again. So that stranger danger, very young, we are taught to understand how the brain works actually. We don't know that yet, but we are. And so what we are taught at a very young age, that our parents don't even know that they taught us, is that our brain works on patterns, pattern recognition. It connects two things together. Oh, these two things go together, right? Stranger danger was caution, but they're two things. They didn't have to be in alliteration, it was just helpful for kids to remember. But it's to connect that this means to stay safe. We want you to stay safe. Have some caution so you can stay safe, right? Another one that comes up, and we're gonna tap into this. If we think of the kitchen, one that comes up, of the kitchen, right? Do you know what it is? That's right, that's right. Don't touch. The stove is hot. Now the stove isn't always hot. Sometimes it's off. We're not cooking at the moment, right? Especially all of us in this room here. Hopefully our stoves are off because we're not at home, right? But typically it's not hot. But for a kid, right? We teach them stove hot, don't touch. Because we are showing them pattern recognition. We're teaching them very basic ways to connect the dots. Okay, don't touch that, that's hot. Because we're back to staying caution and being safe, right? So these are the ways we connect the patterns. And so somewhere along the way, right, we're using this very small example of us as kids. But somewhere along the way, we grow up and we think, oh, I don't need this anymore. I'm an adult now. But the brain still operates the same way. Its goal is safety. And so when we have those really big moments that happen to us, we've got to go back to the basics. How can we connect the dots and understand, oh, my brain needs this pattern recognition to know what's happening. So I'll give you a little bit of an example of how this comes up. And these are generally speaking, but different things that came up. So a couple years ago, not too long ago, we had the pandemic, we had COVID. Everybody was stuck at home, everybody was stressed, everybody was kind of figuring out how to manage everything. And in that window, a lot of things happened. People died, people lost their jobs, people were isolated because they lived alone. Some people were stuck with their family that they were like, I didn't know I was gonna be stuck with you like this. Right? And so there's something that started to happen. A lot of people were struggling at home. They're trying to make do with the space that they had. And these were the themes that kind of came up, right? The themes were, I can't get any sleep. Just not getting any sleep at all. I'm overeating. I'm just eating and eating and eating, and I don't know what's happening. When I was at work, this wasn't happening. But now I'm stuck at home. I'm just eating all the time. I'm crying all the time. And then I feel lonely. So people were experiencing a wide range of these things. And of course, the big one, they were stressed about finances. But this one was very interesting. I noticed a pattern happening with these two. And it had to do with our space. And which is super interesting because a lot of people don't understand this. I had to tell a lot of clients, hey, I think we need to go back to the basics. Tell me about your living situation, right? So here's a very basic layout that I did. Not a strong point for me, so it's very basic.
Very good.
Very basic.
Very good.
But this is a one bed, one bath apartment layout, okay? So thinking, let's say just in general, everybody has different living situations, but say in general, let's just go off this one. We have someone that pandemic, working, stressed, had to figure out, oh, I'm trying to set up at home. They got 2 kids, a dog, their spouse, what have you, and they're trying to manage working from home during the pandemic. They're not getting any sleep. And I'm asking the question, I'm like, tell me about your setup. What's happening now that you've been home? And the thing that happens is, oh, well, like I just work from home. I was like, okay, tell me a little bit how you work from home. Oh, well, like I get up, I take a shower, and then I go on my desk. And then I said, where is your desk located? And they said, oh, well, I don't have any space, so I just put it right here in my bedroom, right? So we gotta go back to what we started with brain and patterns, right? The bedroom, we think, all of you guys think of your bed. What are the words, the descriptors that come when you think of your bedroom? Whatever comes to mind. Sleep.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Comfort.
Yep. Sleep.
Rest.
Comfort. Rest. Right?
Working on my laptop.
Yes, right? And so if your bedroom, if you think about it as sleep, right? But then you disrupt that space and you add a little desk or a little table, you add your laptop to get work done. Now what happens is your brain is starting to associate your bedroom as work. And so let's go back to non-COVID area. Let's say you're over here and you're at your work, right? You work. This is your work building, right? That's the building. You go there, you commute, you do your work. What are some of the things that come up for that space for you?
Organization.
Organization, okay,
Focus.
great. Focus, yeah. Is sleep here?
System.
Oh. If you can, right?
Right? Sleep is not at work. Right? So what you just did is you combined a space that is not known for sleeping into a space that is known for sleeping, and now you can't get any sleep. Because your brain has connected the dots. It has said, oh, this is, I need to be awake. This is where I work now. I need to get these emails. I need to get these calls. I need to go check. I need to do this. Whatever your job description is, your brain is like, this is where I work. I don't sleep here, right? So it's got two conflicting information, and that's why people are having trouble sleeping. And so I did a little interesting experiment, and I told them, move your desk. Move your desk. Take it out. It cannot be in the bedroom. People fought me on it, didn't believe. They were non-believers. That's okay. That's all right. I'm like, that's okay. Just, I could be wrong. I'm cool with being wrong. Just try it out. Just one night. Right? I had one client. It was so funny. I saw her and she was well rested, happy. And I said, hey, what's going on? She was like, I slept like a baby because I moved my desk. And I said, yeah. Right? The same thing happened to another client. She wasn't having issues with not sleeping. She was overeating. Just eating. Every time I work from home, I'm eating. I just don't know why. I'm snacking all the time. I've gained like 10, 15 pounds. I don't like myself. I'm not feeling good. I'm like, well, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Is anything going on with your marriage? Anything going on with your kids? No, we're all good. We haven't had no deaths in the family. I'm good. I said, okay, well, tell me about like what happens when you work from home. And she's like, oh, well, we don't really have that much space. So I usually just bring my laptop and I work in the kitchen. So when you guys think of the kitchen, what do we do in the kitchen? Food. We eat in the kitchen, right? And so she didn't understand that she just invited her workspace where she's supposed to be working into the space where she eats. And since she's working her 8-hour days in the kitchen, she's eating that whole time. Right? So I had the same conversation, different situation, but I had the same conversation. Move your workspace. Move your workspace. I'm like, don't go to the bedroom, but maybe in the living room, right? Maybe you can go for a walk, maybe you can go to a park. Maybe you can do more hours in the office, because this client wasn't during COVID. And so she did. And she was like, oh, I noticed I wasn't second. I was like, yeah, because our brain is like a computer. It connects the dots. The reason why it connects the dots is it's trying to make sure that we make snap decisions. The example that I like to tell people a lot of the times about how our brain makes snap decisions is back in the olden days, think before civilization, right? We didn't have no cars, we didn't have no internet, we didn't have nothing. We were cavemen. And during that time, we had to figure out how to survive in nature. And so imagine the caveman's out and about doing caveman activities, whatever those were at that time, and he happens to stumble upon a little small figure in the corner next to a tree. And during this time, he has to decide, okay, is that danger? It looks small, I see some little ears, there's a tail there. It doesn't look dangerous, but maybe it is dangerous. Our brain doesn't get that chance to think. We think. We do, right? But the brain has to make the association of, nope, this is danger. And a lot of times that happens because we form those connections. And so the danger could be, maybe it got bitten by a tiger cub. And it's like, oh, that's a danger, let's get out of here, right? But if it's like, oh, that's my little pet cat. That's not danger. I love him. He's mine. Then we're not gonna have association. And so understanding, how can we start to work with our brain and understand what are the connections it's making to make our life better for us, right? So these are the ways that we make these connections. As we're gonna go into this, I wanna get into the stress part. I wanna get into the stress part, which we can leave this, I can move this, but we'll leave it since we used it this whole time. I used this section over here. So coming back to stress. Let's see how I'm doing on time. I did good. So coming back to stress. When you guys think of stress, what comes up? How do we deal with it? Is it hard? Is it difficult?
Bury it.
We bury it. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. We bury it. We don't want to think about it. It's better off not being thought of. We just keep moving on, keep pushing on. Some people try to cope, and maybe they don't cope the best way, right? Coping can be healthy, like, oh, I'm just gonna go for a run. Coping can also be unhealthy. I'm gonna drink one more bottle, right? It numbs the pain. Stops me from feeling. I don't want to feel is the sentiment that happens when people start to cope in negative ways. And so understanding how we connect, how we deal with certain things, whether that's stress, whether that's grief, whether that's anxiety, right? No matter what the actual thing is, understanding how we connect, what makes us happy, right? So I use an approach called strength-based approach. And what that means is I work from the space of learning your own individual strengths. Because when we know our strengths, we can use them to our advantage. And so I'll have everybody do this really quick. Write at least 3 things that you know are your strengths. And we don't have to share them, but I want you to get into the practice of understanding and knowing yourself. Something that is a strength. And I'm gonna put some examples here so that we can do this together. And no rush, take your time. Sometimes people have more than 3, sometimes people only have 1. in which I say, come back to it. But take some time, think of some strengths, and I'm gonna write down some examples. I just threw a couple down. They don't have to be the same as what I wrote. These are just example purposes. There's no wrong answer for your strengths. So I'm going to use this as an example that someone gave me. Let's say we have this imaginary person here and I'm talking to them and I'm saying, tell me your strengths. What are your strengths? And they come up with, and they're like, oh, I got kind. I feel like I'm a kind person. I feel like I'm pretty friendly and get along with people well. I'm like, okay, keep going. What else is happening? I feel like I'm a hard worker. I'm like, okay, great. I'm a planner. I'm like, tell me a little bit about that. Oh, I'm good at like making sure things are in order, like I plan things, I can get things done in a schedule. Okay, great. I'm an organizer, I like to organize things, keep things in a certain area. Everything has its place. Interesting. Okay. I'm creative. Ooh, I like that one. Creative in what way? Oh, like art, whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Right? General strengths. And we can go on, and I'm sure you guys have some as well. What I tap into is how are these strengths what we like to use in with work when looking for a job. How can these strengths be used as transferable skills? So that's what I'm looking for when I ask the question. What are your strengths? People write down example, what they are, and then tapping into how are these things transferable. So let's use the thing about, let's do grief. Let's make it more, I want to have a more specific example, because stress could be anything. So let's do grief. Someone died recently, we're going through it. We're trying to figure out, how do I handle grief? I feel sad, I'm crying, I'm attending the funeral, or I've already attended the funeral. We gotta do this next step of getting rid of their belongings, or donating, or selling it. We gotta figure out, okay, like, what are the things that we need to do about the estate that have been talked about? Like, has the will been read? Like, all these other things that go with the grief, right? And so, imagine talking to someone and they're in the throes of grief, and I'm like, tell me your strengths. Right? They're like, what? I'm like, no, tell me your strengths. Because this is our first meeting. I want to get to know you. I want to understand how your brain works. What do you think? And they come up with this, right? And they come right back to, oh, but so-and-so died and I'm still struggling with that. I'm keeping these things in mind. I'm looking at this one in particular, because creative gives us some wiggle room of they're able to think outside of the box, right? When you're creative, there's some freedom there. There's some connection there. There's life there. I'm also looking at them being organized, being an organizer. This one in particular allows them to have space to feel an emotion and still function, right? They're able to look at a space and be like, okay, I can fit 3 boxes here. And each of the boxes can have 3 shelves, and it can do all these tchotchkes all on the shelves, and then boom, done, we're organized. They're able to think of things in a really good way. Problem solving skills is connected to being an organizer. Same thing with planner. A planner is able to figure out, okay, I can get this done in this amount of time, and I can organize this and have these people here at this time, right? And so connecting the dots of what are the transferable skills that I can tap into to continue the conversation, to help the person to learn, to lean into working with your brain, with the brain. That's what we want to do. And so when I thought of this topic, that's what came to mind when I thought of design your mind is essentially learning how to work with your brain. If our brain associates the kitchen with eating, then we don't want to work there. If our brain associates the bedroom with sleeping, then we don't want to work there, right? But the same thing applies for when we're dealing with life stuff. So grief, for example, let's come back to this person. They're working with their brain. Let's say, I'm gonna use your example of burying it, because this person's a hard worker, they're a planner, organizer. More than likely, they're gonna bury it. Oh, well, I don't think it's a big issue. It happened like 2 weeks ago. I don't really think I'm dealing with that now. I think I'm past that. 2 weeks ago? How long did you know this person? So your grief, the expression of your love for this person is supposed to be done in 2 weeks, and you've known them for what, like 10 years? And that love is condensed to 2 weeks. That don't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And so they keep themselves busy. I buried at work, this, that, and the third. But the brain will let you know when you're pushing yourself too much. If we overwork and we don't sleep, what happens?
Get sick.
Yeah, we can get sick. We can get sick. Sometimes we have those moments where our head falls into the cereal because we we pushed it. We pushed it too much. But it will let us know what we need. And so connecting the dots to understanding our body, our brain will let us know, hey, you've reached the end of the rope. I'm tired, we're sleeping, and you can't stop me from going to sleep, right? Same thing with this. Someone can just continue to work, and might be surprised on their job, somebody could say something really insignificant. Or somebody could wear a perfume that smells similar. Or somebody could happen to appear in likeness to that person. We just need that one spark, and that triggers that grief to come down. Right? And so connecting the dots and understanding, how can I work with my brain when I'm used to burying it? Well, tap into how you're a planner. Create space for you to grieve. Plan the time. You plan time to work. You plan time to go to the gym. You plan time to eat, to sleep, to hang out with your friends, do your passions. Find a time in your schedule so that you have time to grieve. What you are doing is you are teaching your brain, I can have feelings. And it's okay for me to have these feelings. And I'm going to give myself time to have these feelings in this spot. And you train the brain so that when you're working, or you're with the guys, or you're with your friends, and you're hanging out, that it doesn't tap into the grief. Because it's now learning, oh, Tuesdays at 7, I go in my study, and that's my time. I get to look at pictures, and I get to grieve that person that I love. Right? So we train our brain, we want to work with it, right? That's tapping into them being a planner. Creative, we can find different ways, right? I'm all about connecting to the space. I ask people a lot when we're talking about grief in particular, and this is more along the lines of when you experience grief, a lot of the times, we get into that space of the brain hasn't made the connection yet. So when people come and they say, oh yeah, let me call so-and-so, and they go to ring, and they're like, oh, that's right. The brain didn't catch you before you even stopped yourself. That's because the brain has patterns, especially if you talk to that person all the time. It's used to you having that. So I ask the question, since we're creative, what are the ways we can maintain your relationship with this person outside of the physical form? That does not necessarily have to do with religion or spirituality, but more in the sense of like helping your brain to have a connection with that person in a way that you're not continuing to call the phone that is no longer on, right? And so some ways that comes up is like, oh, my sister or whatever, whoever died in that person's life, sister, brother, mom, dad, or whatever, they used to collect stamps. And got all these stamps, but weirdly, I like it. It reminds me of them. And so it's like, okay, this can now be your connection with this person. Every time you go, you get your stamp. You can keep one as a memento, as a token to keeping your relationship going with that person, right? We can be creative in how we connect the dots for that, right? Maybe you traveled with the person. We went everywhere, went to Japan, we went to Italy, this, that, and the third. Okay, you can still travel with that person. You can take pictures and you can make a travel journal. Give your brain that outlet because it's still connected to wanting to talk to that person. But give it that outlet to understand, okay, this connection out of the physical form isn't here, but I can still access this part of the brain pathways that are still present. I can still do, I went, turns out, Italy sucks. I hate it. I don't know why we talked about we was gonna go here, right? All of that stuff. You can have that moment and you can keep that to yourself, right? But we're being creative in the space of figuring out how can I work on my grief in ways that matter to me, ways that make sense to me. And so no matter what the thing is, we use grief as an example today. But I want us to understand, how does your brain work? What are the things that are your strengths that you can tap into that are transferable skills? What are the ways that your brain is making patterns? And how can you take a moment to take a couple steps back, look at the full picture, and connect the dots so that you can design the best life that you want by designing your mind too. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions, comments, things you want to share?
I gotta get back to the bedroom. So as you understand what I'm doing,
Yeah.
for me, I take my laptop, I go in the bedroom, the quietest place in the house, and I am the most creative. When I want to let myself get in that space, that's where I go. I have a separate office. I work in the living room sometimes, but it's when I want that space, I go to the bedroom.
That's so interesting.
But I gotta share with you.
Share with me.
I go to bed at 11 o'clock at night, generally after I've worked till 10 o'clock.
Okay.
I wake up around 3 or 4 in the morning. I work for a couple hours again in the living room.
Okay.
I go back to sleep for 2 hours, and by 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm up and my day goes into again, nonstop.
Really? Wow. That's quite a few hours. It's like 4 or 5 hours?
Wow.
That's
Unicorn.
small.
Right?
Have you
Yeah.
always had 4 or 5 hours though?
No, but I've always not slept through the night.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, my brain doesn't shut off.
Yeah. So then for you, bed is not always a full sleeping thing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, you're not going to her saying, I can't sleep.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
not a problem for you, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah, no, I'm asleep in 30 seconds when I get there.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, once I have anything that wakes me up, I cannot go back to sleep.
It's
I
not
gotta go
sleeper.
and just like I said, I go generally to the living room, and I've got to get it all out, whatever was floating in there overnight, then I go back to sleep again.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I toss and turn for an hour.
I am like that in certain conditions, meaning if there's any kind of light, I will wake up. Like any kind of light. It doesn't matter what kind of light. Like it doesn't have to actually be the actual light to see in the room. It could be like the light from the charger for the phone. Like that will keep me up. I will see it like so I generally remove all lights because I know that for me, that disrupts my sleep. So I have to have no lights. That's to be completely dark to allow me to rest.
Yeah.
And I'm also an overthinker, or like my mind races at night too. And so sometimes for me, I've connected darkness means sleep. So I've improved that pattern. So my brain is like, oh, it's not time to think, it's time to sleep. So I would connect and kind of figure that out for you. What is it about your bedroom that's so creative? Like, is it like
It's just
super
relax-
decorative?
Well,
like,
actually,
you got a waterfall? What's happening?
Did
We used to live in Hawaii, and the bedroom is all more or less an island motif. So yeah, that's my space.
And see, I had no idea.
Yeah.
But there was something about the way that you had the connection that I was like, oh no, this is not no regular bed. Right? And that's because our brains have patterns, right? I wonder if you had like, when you go to a hotel, like when you're traveling or whatever, do you get the same experience?
No.
Yeah.
I will generally wake up, but I won't stay up very long.
Yeah.
I'll go back to sleep.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting, that's an interesting point.
Yeah. That's super interesting. I'm so glad you shared that. That's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you go to a hotel, that it breaks the cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't give you the
Space.
same, yeah, it's not the same space. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Very interesting. Any other questions or comments or things you want to share? Or improvements? I'll take those too.
Oh, it's fascinating. It's really.
I have to say that right from the very beginning when you said stranger danger, automatically I started just thinking about language. So of
Yes.
course our brain is our language center, and so words have meaning, and I loved that you were saying we create patterns, and I think our language creates the patterns
Absolutely.
for us in a way. Or that's how we make that connection is.
Absolutely. So I was mainly focused on strength-based approach, but actually one of the theoretical orientations that I use is cognitive behavioral therapy. And I talk about the language that people use, because sometimes we already have a negative connotation for something.
We're going to talk more about that.
I was thinking,
Little segue.
I was thinking when stranger danger, I immediately thought lurking. Someone's lurking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Something's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting that even after all these years, like we're not little anymore, but we still remember that phrase, and we still understand its meaning. And so understanding, hey, our brain isn't that complicated. It actually is just consistent. We got to tap back into the